Welcome to the This Week in Golf podcast, and we have proof of life from Tiger Woods. Proof of life. He's made an appearance. Let's get into it. We're going to talk about what has been going on with the PGA Tour, LIV, Tiger, and all the surrounding things. And then I'm going to wrap up a little bit, which is where we're at in the schedule with the PGA Tour. And a lot of that kind of works its way in through some of these things. Okay, so there's two main events that have happened in the past week. The first was Jay Monahan returned, and he sent a letter to a memo to all, golf, I guess. I think it was to the players, his plans going forward. And then 5 days later, Tiger Woods is going to be on the board. So here's how it broke down. Okay, so where should we start with this? The players themselves have an advisory board. They have, I guess you'd call them seats on the PGA Tour. So when the PGA Tour goes and makes decisions, the players should be somehow involved. Obviously, they have not been involved with this deal with the PIF and the Saudi leagues and LIV, and they were pissed off about it. They lost trust in Jay Monahan. Jay Monahan took a leave of absence, a medical leave of absence. And now he's back. And I think the reason he took the leave of absence was so he didn't have to get in front of the Senate hearing that was out. Call me a conspiracy theorist. I like a good conspiracy theory. Anyways, Jay came back. Here's the memo. Let's just go over the memo because there's some stuff in here, and then we'll get specifically into now Tiger's role. Okay, so the memo, the highlights of the memo are a return to the calendar year. So the PGA Tour the last few years has been starting in like September or October, and then they run some events, and then it goes all the way through to basically this time of year, August. Okay, so they're going to return to the regular calendar year. They're going to start in January, and then they're going to finish in August. And then there's 7 events between. So this FedEx Cup is going to wrap up at the end of August, and then there's the Ryder Cup, but there's 7 events, and we'll just call them sub events or B League events. These are for players to get an opportunity to play into the top 70, so they can get invited into the elevated events and other stuff. Okay, here's some other things. Okay, this fella, he left the PGA Tour Advisory Board. I think there were 5 people. Now there's 4, and I don't have his name. And he left because of conflicts of, I can't believe you're doing business with the Saudis. So he's out. So they need to refill that spot. And so in the memo, it said tour players Patrick Cantlay and Webb Simpson will team with PGA Tour Policy Board member Mark Flaherty and Mary Meeker in a search committee to fill the board seat left by Randall Stevenson. Okay, this is interesting because now Tiger's part of this Player Advisory Tour Board. So the Player Advisory Tour Board basically has no teeth. None at all. And they're pissed about it. So they bring in Tiger. So now Tiger he's Tiger. He's the biggest name in there. He's calling the shots. Let's not sugarcoat it. And the interesting thing is so you have 6 players on the player board, and then you have 6 on the advisory board, like Jay Monahan, the CEO, Mary Meeker, Mark Flaherty. Sorry, man. Flaherty. Mark Flaherty. And now the players get to join in the search to put the 6th board member on there. And the biggest member of the players group is Tiger. So what do you think is going to happen? I would speculate that Tiger's going to put his guy in there. Somebody he likes, somebody he's been doing business with forever. So now let's just play it forward. If that happens, Tiger controls the players, and he only needs one more vote to get the majority to get anything he wants through at that point in time. Tiger's controlling this whole thing. Tiger's probably going to be running the PGA Tour. And who knows what's going to happen with this PIF deal and the Saudis and LIV. Obviously, LIV is going to live on. It's going to go forward. They're doing business as usual, as they've said, and they continue to say, and they will. And then the other side of it is what happens to the PGA Tour? What happens to Jay Monahan? This is all so much drama in the world, as Tupac would say. So that's where we're at with that. Okay, so, here's some other ones that I find just funny. From the memo, from Jay's memo. Player compensation tied to the creation of the tour's new commercial business with the Saudi PIF will be financially significant in total and incremental to our planned compensation package, meaning they're going to give these guys some sort of compensation for not joining LIV, which I think is BS. They had a chance to join LIV. They didn't join LIV, so why should they be compensated? I mean, seriously, if there's more money in the pool for events and things like that, well, then go out and win. Why should you just be compensated because you didn't join? Should I be compensated that I didn't buy Amazon stock 10 years ago, even though I knew about Amazon? Silly. Okay. And then this one's interesting. A task force has been created to develop a potential pathway back from LIV to the PGA, and some sort of fine or something for the people that left LIV or left the PGA Tour and went to LIV. First of all, nobody that went to LIV has any interest in rejoining the PGA Tour. That's a fact. That's a simple fact. Anybody that went over to LIV doesn't want to come back. They're being paid more. They work less. They get to wear shorts. I don't care if you like shorts or not. That's the deal that they signed up for. So this is significant in a sense that, what happens to a guy like, I don't know, I'll just throw a name out there, potentially Matt Wolff, who's not playing well, who's not getting along well with his team captain. I mean, who gets along with Brooks Koepka anyway? But anyhow, Wolff, what if Wolff gets thrown off the team or demoted because he's not playing well, or for that matter, anybody else on LIV, what if they get demoted for not playing well? What would then happen to them? Well, they're suddenly a man without a country, right? They can't go back to the PGA Tour. They can't go to Europe. So this is a framework for a pathway back. That I think has some legs to it, simply because how do you get people back? I don't think really like any of your big names want to come back, but your smaller names will. So that is that one. And then, so this one's interesting. There will be a new third-party special advisor to the players. Rain Group's Colin Neville, who has been appointed in the wake of the framework agreement. The memo stated that Neville's role would be to help streamline communication between the tour players during the complicated and time-intensive negotiations with PIF. Meaning they brought this guy, Colin Neville, in to do some sort of, smoothing it over with the players. I don't know what his background is. Maybe he's an attorney. Maybe he does M&A, mergers and acquisitions. Or maybe he's just buddies with Tiger. So anyways, they have this guy in there. Now, this is the memo. This came out before Tiger rejoined. So now that Tiger rejoined, I don't know if Colin Neville still has a role or needs to have a role or will be replaced. So that's the interesting stuff. But yeah, so Tiger's back, and it kind of throws a wrench into everything, right? It's like Tiger has power. He'll end up having votes. Oh, the other thing that with the Tiger deal that they're going to, this is not the correct terminology, but they're going to rework the bylaws of the PGA Tour so that the players have more say. So so what are they doing first? Are they reworking the bylaws, or are they doing a deal with PIF? Are they doing them both at the same time? How long is it going to take to do one? How long is it going to take to do the other? So again, so much drama in the world. So we'll see what happens in the next, I don't know. Think anything will get done before December? Who knows? Okay, so On that return to the calendar year, they're saying that they're going to release the 2024 schedule in about 2 weeks. So having said that, let's just go over what's left on the PGA Tour. Okay, so this weekend is the Wyndham Championship, and this is your final chance to get into the top 70. And so there's a lot of movement. I think something I was looking at earlier today said about the top 60 players are set. So that final 10, anything could happen in this final week as far as people getting in, people getting out, depending where they finish. Okay, so we have the upcoming, we have the Wyndham, the final play-in, and then we have the top 70 will play in Memphis, Tennessee. That's the St. Jude Classic, or the FedEx St. Jude. $20 million purse. Woo, woo, woo. Will Zalatoris was the champion last year. Obviously, he's hurt, so he's not playing. So that's top 70. Depending on how they finish, the following week, the top 50 play at the BMW Championship, and that's a $20 million purse. And then finally is the Tour Championship in East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta, Georgia. The BMW Championship, the top 50, Patrick Cantlay won that last year. And then the Tour Championship is in East Lake in Atlanta, and that was won by Rory last year. And interestingly, it doesn't say what the purse is on that. There's just a line. And this is the PGA Tour's website, so who knows? Maybe that's a moving number. Anyways, it goes from 70 to 30 to 50. That's the end of the season. And then September is, I guess this is those play-in events or whatever. There's 7 events. There's the Fortnite Championship, then the Ryder Cup. I'm not going to go through all these, but there's the biggest one I see on here is the Hero World Challenge Tigers Tournament in Albany in the Bahamas. And that kind of rounds out the year, and then we're into the following year, 2024. So now golf won't be competing against football, except for these kind of play-in events or seeding events. Seeding events, that's a good name for them. On the other side, on the LIV side, we have an event this weekend in Greenbrier. I don't know where that is. It just says Greenbrier, USA. Then Bedminster. And then, so that 2 weeks in a row of LIV, Greenbrier and Bedminster. And then the remaining events for LIV after that, there's an event in Chicago, an event in Saudi Arabia, and then the final event, which will be in Miami, October 20th, and that'll be their final event of the year. They were going to do that event in Saudi Arabia, but they flipped them, and now it's going to be in Miami. So I guess they want more eyeballs on that one for the USA audience. Okay, I'm going to play a quick video of Greg Norman speaking. This was from the event in Australia a few months ago, and it's his talk about growing the game. Not growing the game, but like what LIV has accomplished so far, and I think it's pretty pertinent. So let's play that.
And it also showcases, to your point, about creating these new pathways that we have for players. We invested $300 million into the Asian Tour to give them the opportunity, a sleeping giant of a massive wealth of population of the game of golf. 65% of all golf courses in the world built today are from the GCC to the Asian Pacific Rim. 65%. And 1/3 of the population in the world, maybe a bit more, live in that region. So you can see from just a logical business perspective from where the game of golf is going for the next 25 years, maybe 30 years. I've seen it in Vietnam for the last 8 to 12 years. And there's at least another 25 years to go in Vietnam alone. So when you look at these opportunities that the game of golf is delivering to and a powerful impact to these countries, right? The opportunity, you're also looking at the opportunity, how do you reach down to these kids? So in 1 year, in 8 golf tournaments, LIV has taken the lid off the aging demographics of the golfing fan, which is 67.5 years old, that follow the PGA Tour. In 1 year, we've taken that down. 65% of our viewers and fans are 45 years and younger. So all of a sudden, because of our product, is now identified to a younger fan base.
Okay, so there it is. Two key takeaways from that one. Growing the game in Asia, $300 million investment, 65% of the new courses being built are in Asia. That's significant. And then finally, the average age, he says the kids, but the average age is much lower. So, fact I did not know that the average age of PGA Tour viewership is 67 and a half. Wow. I did not know that. And he's saying that 65% of their audience is 45 or younger. It's a small audience, but still, nonetheless, this is what I've been talking about for weeks now with this LIV thing. They invested money because everybody thinks, oh, it's just the Saudi league, and I don't know what people think really. There's a lot of different things kicked around. It won't last. They're only going to throw money at it for so long. Look, these guys are investing in it long term because they see the growth of the potential growth of the game in Asia and around the world. And so LIV is not necessarily about the United States. It's about going global. So with that, that's This Week in Golf. We'll talk next week about this whole FedEx play-in and where the standings lie, and we'll get into a good preview for the FedEx Championship. Hey, it's Jeremy Callahan, and thanks for listening to This Week in Golf. Make sure and hit subscribe so you can get all the latest news and analysis from Golf BPM.